Bueno. Ambientazo,
Sí,
ambientazo. Pasa por aquí porque llegamos a un momento muy especial.
Sí, encaramos ya la recta final del Enlighted.
Sí, está siendo todo muy motivador, muy ilusionante, tecnología, educación, innovación, pero claro, estamos llegando a un momento clave, muy especial también para ti, porque tenemos una invitada de lujo, tenemos a la vicepresidenta ejecutiva de la Comisión Europea, Margrethe Vestager. Bienvenida, responsable de Europa en la era digital y comisaria además de competencia. Muy interesante en este momento, muy interesante en este aforo, en este entorno, y además la va a entrevistar mi compañero Guillermo Pascual.
Es un poco mi terreno, claro, Bruselas, mi terreno.
Es experto en instituciones comunitarias, así que vamos a darle una cálida bienvenida de nuevo. La hemos visto con el presidente haciéndose una foto y aquí os dejo. Bienvenida.
Nos quedamos ya. Hi.
Hello.
We are with Margrethe Vestager, Vice President of the European Commission. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. And my Spanish already improved. Innovaciones, educación, digitales. Yes, I know the keywords by now.
Really good, really good. It's a pleasure for us to be here in Madrid in this Enlighted 2022. Commissioner, Europe faces a next decade full of challenges. The pandemic, the war in Ukraine made us clear that we're not being dependent of other parts of the world. We're talking about less dependent on Russia, on China. So is Europe already moving towards this necessary, let's say, strategic autonomy?
Yes, we are. And if someone was in doubt that it's important, then the choke point of dependency of Russian gas, I think, was a wake-up call for everyone in doubt. We need to be able to do more, many more things, but we will still be in a relationship with the rest of the world, only not with the kind of dependencies that we have had so far. And that goes for energy. It's a very good example. Actually, we managed in the first 6 months of this year to go from deep dependency of Russian pipeline gas to having maybe 10, 12 different suppliers of liquefied gas from all over the planet. So if one of those fails, well, it's not a disaster anymore, because you can replace them with others. And the more renewables we get, and Spain, of course, is a prime example of that development, the more independent we get, because no one can turn off the sun, no one can turn off the wind. And here we have something going for us. And that same model of doing more ourselves, spreading our supplies, we can do that also for raw materials, for other essentials in the supply chain. And that is happening right now, also when it comes to semiconductors, chips. The PERTES chips program is part of that movement for Europe to have a much stronger footprint.
Another challenge that we see is that Europe is facing a digital transition that is moving very, very fast. We can say it is already here, but at what point we are right now in this process?
Well, it has been ongoing for quite some time, and right now it's accelerating because we find more and more public services, no queues, no appointments to be taken. One can service oneself because they become digital. We see it in the business community. We also see smaller businesses starting to digitalize, as well as the giant ones that are hosting us today. So we are well in the process. But for real takeoff, we need to be so much better skilled, which is one of the reasons I really appreciate this event today. Because many more people need to have basic skills, and many more people, in particular women, needs to have digital expertise to master technology, to create technology. Without that, we will not be able to make it.
Yeah, that's it. Because we know that technology today is part of every aspect of society. Also, learning digital skills are essential for employment. Should Europe focus ensuring that no one left behind in this training, digital training?
I think that is key, because otherwise we would not be Europeans.
Yeah.
If we accepted that someone couldn't care less, shrugging our shoulders, that is not Europe. I was visiting a project today, this morning, financed by the City of Madrid and Next Generation EU funds. And it was really touching, because they were offering free training to use digital tools to enable your shop to have a stronger presence, not only e-commerce, but also to get customers into your physical shops, so that the streets stay lively. And one of them told me when she was calling, the shop owner in the other sense said, "Who are you? What do you want to sell me?" And said, "No, this is for free. It's an offer." And say, "Why don't you accept it?" And then she said, "Well, because this kind of thing never happens to me." You know, that shows that we need to do so much more for everyone to feel that they are counted in, that we rely on everyone to do their part, and to have the chances of making the best of this economy. And we are far away from this. And this I see as a challenge as deep as making the most of quantum and the most of 5G and the most of blockchain and edge computing. Because for humans to change, maybe even more difficult than the most advanced coding.
Let's talk about another important word, reskilling. This educational reskilling that people need within the companies. Could this reskilling be the most important challenge that workers will face in the coming years?
And employers.
Yeah.
Because it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
And for employers to encourage people who work with them, to encourage everyone to have a learning perspective throughout life. Because now every sector digitalizes. Health becomes digital, transport, agriculture, public sector services, everything digitalizes. So to find ways for everyone to reskill and upskill, I think is essential. And it's not done with a online course, because, you know, knowledge may travel via fiber, but real passion about learning, that travels with humans. So we need, you know, both things to work together. Digital learning by digital means, but also for humans to learn from one another, and for leaders and teachers really to engage.
And do you think this reskilling could help to retain talent in Europe?
But it's absolutely key.
Yeah.
Because if we wait for children to grow up to be fully digital natives, well, it will take way too long. You know, someone like me, I'm mid-50s, I may work till I'm 70 at least. You know, I cannot rely on the skills that I learned ages ago. You know, I had my education in the last millennium. So of course, it's really important to have that perspective that you're not done when you're in your 50s. It's never too late to learn.
If we're looking at the figures, we see that Spain is below the European average when it comes to number of digital profiles in its companies. Do we, Spain and other European countries, need a wake-up call in this sector?
Well, the good news is that there is funding available. Next Generation EU for Spain, I think it's almost 4 billion euros that is being made available. I think the challenge is to scale the projects that work well, and for people to see that they are really invited. Also, if you do not have university training before, that digital skills is still something for you. And I think that to pass that bridge, that's something that happens in your head. And here, you know, I think we need people that we admire to take the lead. You know, we need actors and football players and CEOs and people we think, wow, they have made it already, but they are willing to learn more. Then we may take the lead to get there.
Because what would a company risk if it decide not to invest in digital profiles?
I think there is a high risk that this will be the last generation of this company. And I think everyone wants to see the next generation take over. And it's not because everyone needs to do e-commerce. But digitization of a company is also optimizing how you use your resources in order to use less so that you don't have the same cost. It's also to be able to do your auditing in an easier way. It's being able to do all your accounts in an easier way. It is to make sure that people know that you're there, so they come physically into your shop or want to do business with you. So it's not just something, you know, oh, my shop is just turning into a warehouse and I'm just the one shipping goods. No, it's everything that can enrich what is your business idea and what is it that you want to do.
Look into the future, yeah. And the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has proposed to make 2023 as the European Year of Skills. I suppose that this will mean new opportunities, maybe a boost on the investment in education. Is digital education one of the bases for the social inclusion?
I do think so, because when, for instance, more and more public services, they become digital, which is, I think, very easy. You don't have to sign up for an appointment, you don't have to wait in queues. Basically, you can do a lot of things yourself. But if you don't know how to, and you always have to ask your daughter-in-law, you like her, but not that much. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
So we need to learn in order to say, I can do this. And that makes you feel part of society. Because it's not just shopping, it's not just signing up for something or buying your tickets online for going on a holiday or going to an exhibition. It's also being able to do all this work that you would otherwise have to ask other people to do for you. That is also the empowerment of being a citizen.
And this European Year of Skills could also be a good opportunity for women, essentially to break this current gender gap.
Indeed, you know, actually, as from, I think, yesterday, women in Europe are working for free, because that is the difference between how men are paid and how women are paid. So basically, from mid-November, women just volunteer in the workforce. Very generous, I think, on our part. But the thing is that between 15 and 20% of digital experts are women. And we're talking about technology that shapes our society. And we should not accept that it is for one generation and one gender only to be part of this. And I think in particular, you know, the brand of the Spanish woman, you know, strong, decisive, leading, that we also need in digital.
Let's talk about another important topic, privacy. Because in a universe as open as the internet, we all agree that we need some controls. Why is it so important that the internet is not the Wild West?
Well, you know, I love my mother, obviously, and I tell her everything. But she's not with me all the time. And that is basically what we can gain with privacy, that we can choose when we want to tell, because we are not with someone all the time. And when privacy is non-existent, we are completely exposed. Because if you know someone's search pattern, if you know what apps they use, you know so much about a person. And this is why both at a systemic level, so with the general data protection legislation, but also we need the market to deliver more, because it's so difficult and it's so time-consuming to protect yourself. I think everyone here knows that we have rights. Probably most of you don't really use it, because it takes time, and you don't know if you get it right. So we need something that is easy to use. Set my preferences. You little digital thing, go do it for me. Because otherwise privacy is something that we talk about and not something that we enjoy, that helps us master our data ourselves.
Let's explain to people, if we don't pay attention to our privacy, what is at stake?
Well, there is an economic point.
Yeah.
That we think that we get things for free, but we just pay with data that is being moved on, that they can be then used to sell us things, to advertising that we may or may not want, and also to getting control of our data. If we don't have privacy, we don't know where our data is going, and that, of course, makes us more vulnerable. So being able to protect oneself and one's privacy is as fundamental as getting dressed in the morning. And the thing is, if we're being asked, do you want this app to track you? You know, simple, straightforward question can be answered with a yes or a no. People say no. And I think that is very telling to show that when we're asked a simple question, we appreciate that we're dressed and well protected and in charge. But if it's murky and difficult and whatever, then we just take that really nice green button. Looks so inviting. It just says, go data, go. Instead of that gray button that seemingly do not really work, and it's just signaling, you will spend a lot of time if you press me.
Yeah. And can Europe be proud of our standards in terms of data protection?
I think we can be very proud, because what happened when we in our democracy made data protection a thing was that we completely shifted the discussion. Now I think everyone knows that privacy is important. And in India, in California, you know, around the world, they discuss this. How can we follow the European example? Where we still have work to do is, as said, to make it easy, not time-consuming, direct, that we can use every right that we have.
Okay, Commissioner, to conclude this dialogue and looking ahead into the future, are we building a digital and connected Europe in which there will be opportunities for all? Are you optimistic?
Oh, I'm completely optimistic. And when you look at where we achieved something, I just saw a list of the 5 greatest sort of hypercomputers, in high-performance computers. 2 of these 5, they are European. The 5th one will probably, in a short time, be a Spanish one. So we establish capacity. We have amazing research and investment when it comes to semiconductors, when it comes to quantum technology. Businesses are approaching tech. We have so many opportunities. We can get better health, better transport, and we cannot fight climate change without digital. But we need to focus on taking down the barriers. More investment in connectivity, everyone to get the necessary skills. Much more expertise, taking women on board for this, then we actually have quite a fair chance of making it.
Thank you very much.
It was my pleasure.
It's a pleasure, it's a privilege to having you here in Madrid
in
this Enlighted 2022. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Very
it's a
nice.
pleasure. Please, that way.